Welcome back, YouTube universe. Thank you for joining us again on Reading for Sunday. We're in the middle of our study on the third week of Lent, and we've already looked at Psalm 19 and Exodus 20. So today we're going to dive into 1 Corinthians 1. So if you have your Bibles, go ahead and open those up to 1 Corinthians, and I will get my Bible out here. I have my Bible and my notepad. Let's see, 1 Corinthians 1. All right. Okay, I am in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, and we're going to pick up right here at the bottom of the page. For the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing. Paul's going to do something really interesting in 1 Corinthians 1, and I'm going to get my notepad out, which is, once again, helpfully labeled for us. Paul's going to do something interesting, and he's going to talk about the cross primarily here. He's going to talk about the cross, wisdom, and foolishness. Now, these categories for us, we haven't run into exactly so far, but what I want to suggest is that this wisdom piece is connected directly to the covenant piece and the commandments that we looked at in Exodus and then in Psalm, right? In Psalm 19. These are both, they're God's wisdom. That's kind of the point of those passages, right? That they're God's wisdom. And God's, the way Paul is going to say it uniquely is that God's foolishness is wiser than the wisdom of the world. That's an astonishing sort of claim. This is another one of those things where we talked about sort of who is God earlier, right? The God who gives these commandments, the God who tells us how to be present with God. One of the things I want you to think about when we read 1 Corinthians is what sort of people would we have to be to live with this God present amongst us? What sort of people would we have to be to live with this God present amongst us? We'd have to be the kind of people who could commit to these kinds of 10 commandments. We'd be the sort of people who would discover that those commandments are actually life. Those commandments actually bring us freedom and joy. And we're the sort of people who would discover that God's ways are wiser than our ways. Right? We'd become, in short, we become a people of the cross. Right? We'd become a people who recognize in the cross, in the death and resurrection of Jesus, a new way of living into the world. That's super important, powerful stuff, and we're going to dive into that in relation to the gospel reading tomorrow. But for now, let's sit with that. What does it mean for the cross to be foolishness to one whole people, but salvation to a whole nother people? The cross sits at exactly a spot where our wisdom sort of goes to die, right? Our wisdom, like the wisdom and the revelation of nature and creation, can only get us so far. Then what's going to bridge the gap from how far we can get on our own to where we have to be, it has to be the cross, right? That our wisdom, the best we can do is still only foolishness before God. Wow, that's powerful, important stuff, and it sets the stage for what's going to come next. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please let me know. Please go ahead and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. I'm trying to kind of get a few people following along so that they can see what's happening. And I do hope that in these conversations about the lectionary readings that we're all a little more prepared for Sunday mornings when we gather together and listen to the word preached to us, that we'll stumble across some of these things ahead of time. So I hope this helps. I hope these are interesting. Please, I'm open to any feedback at all. I would prefer positive feedback, but I'll take whatever. So please go ahead and subscribe. Please tell your friends, and we'll see you tomorrow to talk about the gospel.